Hello Internet, so nice to see you. Let's see the question of the day.
Excellent content. Do you think it could be compared to the study of a new language?
I think music is totally not like a language. There is this thing going around the internet and it's becoming more and more famous lately that music is like a language. Okay. First of all, that's an incorrect quote. The original quote was music is the universal language, which is already bullshit. Because it's not a universal language. Music is actually completely as different association depending on cultures. In several different cultures on Earth, the minor scale is not sad. It's actually used to celebrate weddings, for instance. The wedding music is in minor. Think about the klezmer music in Jewish culture, or say several Middle Eastern culture, they use the minor scale to indicate happiness. And that's the thing, it's also kind of losing a little bit this kind of association of being sad, even in Western music, because of the influence of those other cultures, because originally in Western music, minor scale is sadness, period. Okay, so no, music is already not the universal language because we associate different things, different cultures associate different intervals or different musical gesture with different feelings. It's very hard to tell how much of this is nature and how much of this is nurture, okay, how much of this is the natural response of the brain and how much of this is the cultural conditioning. Very, very hard. And I will let a musicologist speak about that. But first of all, music is not a universal language. Second, is it actually a language? Well, debatable, because you see, the problem is not so much saying music is a language, okay, bye, we're finished. Once you say that music is a language, people start making inferences on top and assumptions, and then this can lead you completely astray in your study of music. Because here's the thing, a language does a number of things that music cannot do, and vice versa. Okay? So music is not a language. If you want a flippant answer, okay, but I mean, it's a joke, but it's actually serious answer, is this. If music is a language, could you write me a song that I can play at the phone to order a pepperoni pizza and ship it to my place? No, you can't. I mean, without using words, of course. Using only instrumental music, I want you guys to write a song that if I can use to order pizza at my place. Okay, you cannot do that because music is not a language. It doesn't convey information in the same way as languages. If music is a signal, there is some communication going through, and it clearly evokes emotion, but it cannot evoke specific, precise situation like any language out there can. Okay, if anything, it is exactly the opposite. What do I mean with that? I think a more correct statement would be that language is a kind of music. Music probably came before language, okay? We were able to communicate using tones, the tone of voice, well before we invented words and language and grammar and all these kind of things. So, and it seems to be kind of the consensus in the linguistic community, as far as I know, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, that music evolved before languages, and language could be seen as an offshoot of music. So I will start saying language is a kind of music. It's the kind of music that you can use to order pizza, okay? As opposed to all the rest of music, which you cannot use to order pizza, but you can do other things. But I'm not really hitting the point yet, right? Because we are thinking, Tommaso, you're just going or beating around the bush on the main point. What is the main point? Is that people will tell you music is like a language, and already they will use it's like a language, as opposed to the previous statement that music is a language. Okay, but music is like a language because there is a grammar in here, and then the grammar is the music theory, and so you can use, there are some rules in that. You would expect me, since I teach music theory, to be perfectly on board with that. It would be great. Now, music theory is just the grammar of music, and if you learn the grammar, you can make music. But the reality is that, have you ever studied a language using only the grammar of the language, like open the grammar book, read it, and then close it, and you can speak it? No. Why? Because even a language is not just a grammar. A grammar is just a bunch of rules you can use to tell if the language is correct or not, and if it will sound natural to the native speakers of the language. But then you have to learn the vocabulary. You need to be fluent with that. You need to learn all the kind of phrasing that they use, the intonation, the pronunciation. There are a number of other things that are not the grammar. Okay? And that's one thing. And the second thing is this. If you speak in a language and you get the grammar wrong, what you say sounds weird. I mean, just scroll down in the comments because it happens on every single video and see how many people comment on my accent or my pronunciation. It happens all the time. My grammar is correct, but people pick up on those small differences. I mean, comparatively smaller differences from a native English speaker. And so every time I have people commenting, what kind of accent is that? Is this a Russian accent? No, it's Italian. Okay. But you mispronounced this thing, etc., etc. Oh, thank you for letting me know. Okay. And this is a small thing. If I were speaking with the wrong grammar, which occasionally I make grammatical error, I mean, it's natural. But whenever I make grammar error, they just jump at you, right? They just sound weird. They just break the flow of the speech. In music, instead, you can break the grammar all the time, okay? And indeed, you kind of create new styles of music when you break the grammar, okay? You have rules which are not rules, they're just pattern of how you make music. And when you break them, you go in a different style. If you take classical music and you start breaking a few rules about, again, rules, patterns, on how to land the notes on the chord note and how to write the chord progression, add more seventh chords, etc., and put more chromatics, you get into jazz territory very fast. If you remove those things, if you just start writing, for instance, in minor, but without using the harmonic minor, you get another style of music, okay? You get closer to Iron Maiden than classical music. All those things are adjacent, and they use different rules, okay? And it's not like a different language. If you break the grammar of music, you create new music. And often, what some people call mistake, other people call it interesting or art. Okay, so there is not a grammar in music, because otherwise every time you play something different, it will sound weird. Besides, think about it for a moment. Do you really, you don't even want music is a language to be true? Because again, if music was a language and there was a grammar, you will have to follow it every single time. There would be no debate about do I have to follow music theory or I could just follow my ear? It would be the exact same thing. Now, of course, you can gonna say, but even in spoken language, occasionally they break the grammar. Yeah, sure. We can beat the metaphor to death. Okay, not a problem. We can go on and on and on, ironing the smallest thing. But if you look at the definition of a language, and what music does, music just doesn't fit the definition of a language. Okay, you cannot communicate in the same way. There are some elements of communication, but music is not a language, and the metaphor is really, really stretched. There's the idea, for instance, that you learn the language by speaking it and not by studying the rules, and it's great. Will I do the same with music? I will do both things. I will listen to music, and I will learn the rules like music theory, and I'll have to those two things work together. Can you do only one? Can you learn music only without rules? Well, yeah, the same way a kid learn a language, yeah, probably that. But then you have to you have to play a lot of music, analyze a lot of music, and then eventually you distill all the rules. It's not as convenient in a sense, okay? So you learn music in a different way than you learn a language. This is a very unpopular opinion. I'm expecting a lot of backslash on this, but I'm gonna stand on this. Music is not a language. If anything, again, language is a kind of music, and then we should work with that. There are some similarity, but the differences are many, and I will not take any inference. I would not make any reasoning based on the idea that the music is a language, because the moment you stretch the metaphor even just a tiny bit more, it just breaks and it doesn't work anymore. So be aware of this, okay? When people tell you music is a language, be aware of this. It's just a metaphor, it's already stretched. Don't go any further, okay? Very good. And with this, I'm leaving you. This is Tommaso Zilli of mysteryforguitar.com, and until next time, enjoy.